Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. This is episode number 50 of the series, the first series on the channel to reach that milestone. So, I think speaking of milestones, the channel has reached 2 recently, which I haven't really taken a moment to acknowledge yet. The first of which, we have reached 400 videos and beyond now. So, it doesn't even almost seem real to have made that many videos. It's just insane. Since I started the channel in 2019, making videos on F1 2018 with no commentary back then, up to now, having made so many videos, it just, I don't know, what were all those videos? How have I got to 400 already? I don't know. It's hard to explain. So, swiftly moving on from that to the second milestone, 200 subscribers recently. Now, as I look, we're at 210. So, that number has been increasing faster than it ever has at any point in the channel's history. So, I want to just say a huge thank you to everyone who has come aboard recently. It absolutely means the world. Anyway, onto the video itself. I still have a lot of catching up to do when it comes to these, offline Gran Turismo videos, and this is a good example. This is update 1.29 we're taking a look at today, and added a new circuit, Grand Valley, or a returning circuit I should say, and also a bunch of new cars, including this thing, the Ital Design VGT. This is the off-road version of the car. There's also a street version, which even itself is quite high off the ground, but look at this thing. That is a significant air gap beneath the car. So it's a very unique looking car, this Ital Design thing. It kind of just looks like a weird bar of soap. Anyway, without further ado, let's just take this thing for a test drive. Unfortunately, in this update, while there were a bunch of new events added, none of them really suited this car. So before we get it to see Grand Valley, I thought I would have a drive of this car where it is meant to be, on the dirt. And it is absolutely insane. I don't really understand the cockpit on this car, by the way. The windscreen looks almost opaque. But anyway, I'm not the inventor of the car. I don't know these things, but it doesn't seem like the most practical design. Regardless, we will just have a quick drive. I'm using the music replay to show this off, and you can see I'm very much struggling to drive this thing in the dirt. It's got a lot of horsepower. The only difference, as far as I can tell, between the street version and the off-road version is that the off-road version is lifted higher, and I mean even the street version is quite high off the ground, to be fair, compared to most of the other VGTs when you compare them side by side. But yeah, the off-road version is just a bit higher off the ground, but the horsepower and the weight are identical to the street version. So yeah, unfortunately the one downside of this car and many other VGTs is that there is no cockpit camera, so you can't actually see what the inside of the car looks like, which is a shame because I would love to know what this thing looks like on the inside. But anyway, in summary though, it's a really cool car, and quite fun to drive, but a little bit difficult to get used to on the dirt. But it worked well on circuits as well. But anyway, let's get into Grand Valley Highway, as it is known now, and what used to be known as the East layout is now the South layout. So yeah, things have been spun around a little bit for some reason. But anyway, we are zooming through the field so far. We're driving an engine swapped Mazda RX-8. It's got the engine from the Mazda 787B Le Mans car, so this thing is going to be pretty insane. But anyway, let's see if we can work our way through the field. It's strange. It's like it's the same but different to the original version that's been in Gran Turismo games forever, from the very beginning. It's a similar shaped corners, but the scenery could not be more different. So it's certainly an unusual experience driving around here, having driven Grand Valley and all the older Gran Turismo games. It's weird, but it's great to have this track back. Regardless, it is one we certainly needed. But anyway, let's see how we're going. We're already up into P6 so far, so making rapid progress, riding up the wall there a little bit as we made an absolute mess of that. We have the straight line speed of a Le Mans car, we do not have the cornering ability of a Le Mans car. That's quite easy to forget when we are rocketing into the first corner and suddenly find that we can't make it around. But anyway, there's quite a few, I guess you could call them like tourist signs around this track, which make for some interesting little Easter eggs. Some of them, or I think all of them, are at least somewhat based on real life places. I can't remember exactly where, it's somewhere in America. This is the rock shelter, and again that is a real life location, and well, I guess it's just like a little tunnel on the track, but there's also a bridge which we don't cross. It's just behind us now as we rejoin what is the longer circuit. But yeah, there's a bridge back there, and there's another viaduct style bridge as well, but we'll see those on the longer variants. I'll talk about that a bit more later. But for the moment we still continue to march our way through the field, and we take first place into turn 1. We do, I think, just about get it pulled up this time, still carrying a bit too much momentum into the first couple of corners, but doing a much better job of it on that occasion. But anyway, we come out of the tunnel for the final time, and that is an easy win in this insane Mazda. It's a bit of a handful to drive, but it's a very, very cool car nonetheless. So that is the first race in the books, and we managed to take the victory. That was the Japanese Clubman Cup 550. I have a feeling our car may have been a little bit over 550. But anyway, our next car that we're going to use, we have to buy from the Haggerty collection, and the car is this thing, the Porsche, what's it called? The Porsche 911 Carrera RS 901 73. Yeah, catchy name, I know. But anyway, it's a Porsche. That's just about all we need to know. So let's get into it. So 745,000 credits later, and we have ourselves a new car. It is not the fastest considering the race we are about to do with it, so we are going to need some upgrades. And one sore throat later, we are ready to go for the historic Sports Car Masters at Grand Valley South Reverse. So this is the same track we just raced at, but backwards. So we head into this tunnel first, the Tracy Cove Tunnel, as it is called. There is goodness me, there is a sign at each end indicating the name. Anyway, let's make our way through the field and see how we go. We upgraded the car more or less as much as we could. I think it was 577 at PP. The maximum for this event is 580, so hopefully we don't have too either easy or difficult of a time in this one. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, we're up into 11th position already, so we're flying through the field to begin with. 5 laps in this one, so that generally tends to indicate a more difficult race with a slightly longer race length, but we'll see how it goes as we continue to march our way through the field. I have to say, for a Porsche, this car is handling very, very well. Sometimes Porsches, they're not the friendliest to drive for one reason or another. That may just be a result of one of those license tests in the Porsche, whatever it's called, that electric horrible thing that just understeered like a boat. But whatever the case is, this one handles quite well. I'm quite enjoying driving it so far. But anyway, through the rock shelter, we head down the inside of Mr. Stripes and get the move done and move ourselves up into P6. And the sun seeming to be setting in this race a bit later in the day to the first one, as we make our way through the second half of the lap, take another position there, up into 5th position now. So we are steadily making our way through the field. This Lamborghini in front of us is looking speedy, making the move on the Di Tommaso Mangusta, and we're going to try and sneak through as well and follow through, also making that position. But let's see if we can now make the move to the outside. Not quite, as we try and find the space there. Lamborghini on the inside. We'll switch it back now, and we will get through and move ourselves up one more position ahead of the Corvette, and or the 2 Corvettes right there, different models. That's kind of cool. They're on track next to each other, but the Lamborghini has now taken the lead and is looking rather quick as we begin lap 4 of the race already. We've been skimming through this one as we send it full lunge around the outside. I said that the wrong way around, but we're side by side with the Lamborghini as we go to replay camera to watch this one play out, because this is going to be an intense battle. That Lamborghini is very quick as we try and make our way around the outside. Got a bit too sideways on the exit though, didn't quite work out for us as we head through the rock shelter and out the other side, right on the tail of the Lamborghini. But we need to find our way through now before it gets too close to the end of the race, because we are fast running out of time, and our pace is basically matched. We can't afford a single mistake or we will lose sight of the Lamborghini. We're having a look now though to the inside as we head up towards the hairpin, and we're going to be able to get the move done here as we're side by side on the entry. We'll back out and then go for it again later in the corner, and we will just about get the move done on the exit, and we'll take the lead ahead of the Lamborghini, but we still can't afford any mistakes or they will be right on top of us. So we need to keep pushing hard throughout this final lap of the race. Lamborghini in the slipstream as we head into the Tracy Cove tunnel once more, and we should be good through here. The car is quite stable through that corner, and now the Lamborghini full send down the inside and contact, and we just about get away with that. But that was aggressive from the AI there, that's insane. But we do manage to hold on to the position. Little beep of the horn in anger there, because that was some fairly heavy contact that was made there. Look at the sunset through the rock shelter there. That's really cool. The shadows that's casting. But anyway, as we head through these sort of U-turn style corners into this more wavy section, we are fast closing into the end of the race, and we've broken away just slightly to the Lamborghini. So we have a very slight pace advantage, but it's not by much, as we head towards the hairpin for the final time over this little bridge, which I believe is unnamed, and through this hairpin. I call it a hairpin. It's actually not as tight as it looks when you're driving it. But anyway, around the final corner, which is a nothing corner in this direction, and to weave towards the finish line, and that is race victory in the historic Touring Car Masters, Sports Car Masters rather. Touring Car Masters is a championship for old style racing cars in Australia, but that's for another time. Anyway, we're now a millionaire, and it's time for a cafe menu book. So let's see, we completed a menu book by buying that Porsche. So let's take a little look at this one. It's not just a Porsche menu book, or not even a 911 menu book. It's a Porsche 911 Carrera RS menu book. That's very specific. Anyway, yeah, congratulations, you've got all 3 cars, etc. Once you've collected your present, I've got some stories to tell you about these cars. And for our troubles today, we get a collection. Porsche 911 Carrera RS completed. Okay, we get a 5-star roulette ticket for our troubles. So, let's see what we can learn about these cars. The Porsche 911 series is a major player on the world stage, and its unique RS model is no exception. as the RS Race Sport name suggests. All 911 Carrera RS cars were designed to win motorsport competitions. Compared to standard 911s, the RS model is distinguished by its lightweight, responsive chassis and finely tuned engine. The historic original model is this 911 Carrera RS, first released in 1972. Based on the first generation Porsche 911, it was designed to meet FIA motorsport homologation requirements. Stripped of all comforts, it was a Spartan machine powered by an engine lifted 300cc from its predecessor. In terms of horsepower and top speed, it represents the peak of the 911 series for its time. It was the first 911 production car to carry a rear spoiler, and it sat on wide tyres for improved traction. As Porsche had hoped, subsequent RS variants played a significant role at international motorsport events. The advent of the racer-derived Road RS was a truly epoch-making event in the history of Porsche. Its legacy carried on by such successor models as this 964 Carrera RS from 1992 and the 993 Carrera RS from 1995. Each model resembles its forebearer in its dedication to being lightweight, powerful, and incredibly responsive. After more than half a century, the thrill first afforded by the original RS remains unchanged. Which is why this collection is bound to be the envy of sports car enthusiasts everywhere. Goodness me, I think I'm losing my Luca voice. Anyway, let's have a look at this 5-star roulette ticket and see what our luck is going to be. Looks like it's going to be the 100,000, and indeed it is. It's almost like I knew what was coming. 99% of the time it lands on the item in the top left, so that's an easy way to maybe tell what you are going to get. But anyway, up next we have another car from the Haggerty collection. As you can tell, I actually recorded this earlier because I haven't bought the Porsche yet in this clip. But anyway, the car I'm going to buy now is the one furthest to the right, the Citroen DS21 Palace? I don't know, 1970. So this is an interesting looking car. I believe it's the cheapest car in the Haggerty collection, not by a small margin. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. But yeah, less than 50,000 credits for this thing. So let's see if it's worth it. Well, the race we're going to do in this car is the Sunday Cup Classic. This takes place at Laguna Seca, another new event added in this update. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. We will turn the difficulty up to the max from whatever we did before this race. As I said, this is recorded out of order, so I have no clue what that was. And we will give this car a test drive. Laguna Seca, a circuit I know very well now, as we, I think I'm just turning on the race BGM because I do like the music. But anyway, broadcast mode of course. So we'll see how this goes. The Sunday Cup Classic's an interesting event because it's obviously doesn't feature particularly quick cars. I believe this is probably one of the fastest cars to be added to sort of race in this event. The strange thing is, there's not really any rules for the Sunday Cup Classic, so you don't actually need to use a classic car. So that's a little bit strange. But anyway, we have a good variety of cars. We've got the Fiat 500s, the Minis, the Auto Bianchis, the Volkswagen Golf up there, the old Beetles. There's some cool stuff here. So let's see how this goes. Of course, there's a couple of other cars like our own up towards the front of the field, which will be our main opponents in this race. as we make our way past the Beetle there, move ourselves up one more position, and we're already up into 4th. So this race is going to be an absolute breeze. If this rate of climb continues, and it looks like it will, because we are fast approaching the podium. Another 500 type car, the Abarth 500, that one, as we zoom past on the way up to the corkscrew. So that puts us up into 3rd position as we head down the corkscrew. Quite a violent ride through there, even in a slower car, especially when we go bouncing over those curbs. But anyway, we are closing the gap to 2nd place now. It'll only be a matter of time before we're able to make this move. So we're in the slipstream along the run towards the first corner. We've got better straight line speed, so let's see if we can maybe make the overtake into turn 1. We look to the inside, go fairly late on the brakes, but nothing crazy. I do want to try and maintain the clean race bonus that we probably have at the moment. I'm expecting this, as I said, to be a somewhat easier race, so trying not to make contact with anyone here as we make the move down the inside into the right-hander, and we get the job done. Only the leader remains, so let's catch up to them. So we move on until we get a bit closer to them as we tip it into the kink, heading up towards the corkscrew, and we swiftly move around the outside. No trouble for us there, and we take the lead after about a lap and a half. But that's all there really was to this race as we come towards the line, beeping the horn, and that is a race victory here at Laguna Seca. And the little DS21 is able to do it at the Sunday Cup Classic. Quite a nice little car, actually. I did quite enjoy driving it. Clean race bonus as well, quite easy to get in these races of slower cars. And now we move on to perhaps a much more exciting car. This is the Honda RA272, a Formula 1 car from 1965. One of the most iconic cars in Honda's history is this F1 machine, the Honda RA272. Honda was the first Japanese automaker to compete in F1 racing. In 1965, this car earned Honda its first F1 win at the Mexican Grand Prix, the final round of the season. With an aluminium monocoque chassis up front and a space frame aft of that, it was powered by a horizontal 1.5 litre 12 mounted midship. What? The RA272 was developed and raced by Richie Ginther, an American racer of the 1960s. Honda has since earned many victories as an engine supplier, but it all began with the RA272. I think I was meant to say a midship mounted V12, but anyway, this is a $2.5 million car, but I imagine this is going to be quite fun to drive. A mid-60s F1 car. I don't think I've driven a car from this particular era in any game before. The classic cars in some of the older Formula 1 games, I think only went back to 1972. The 72 Lotus was the oldest car. And then I've driven like 1950s Grand Prix cars in Forza, but never 60s. So this will be interesting. It's a different version of Grand Valley. Once again, this is the full circuit known as Highway 1, which makes me question if they're planning more different layouts. See the sign over on the left there? Every single arrow on that sign points in the wrong direction as to where the location it's pointing to is. Just a little side note there. But anyway, we turn left off the south course and make our way through one of the two, I guess, extensions that form the full circuit, as we now head hard on the brakes into the hairpin, making the move there up into 13th position, and now we make our way back towards the shorter layout, and we'll rejoin it shortly. But you can see we are actually, strangely enough, despite how light this car is, we're struggling more so in the corners than on the straights, as we clumsily nudge the barrier there. But anyway, we now head through the rock shelter that we saw on the shorter layout, and then we'll turn off it once again to the left here and go around what is the second deviation from the layout, and this is the Grand Valley Bridge. If you stop and read the sign, it says it was built in 1997, which is a reference to the release date of the original Gran Turismo game, although the bridge looks very different to what it did in that game. It was an arch bridge back then, as in, like, I guess Sydney Harbour Bridge style arch that goes over the bridge, not arch as in the arch that goes under the bridge. That is the one, or the style, that we are coming up to now. This is the Tracy Cove Bridge that we are heading over, and I mean, it's hard to get a glimpse of it from this side, but yes, there is indeed an archway underneath the bridge, being its supporting structure. That's how bridges work. Anyway, let's stop focusing on the architecture and focus on the race once more. This car, actually kind of a very distracting interior, so let's go back to a view we can actually see out of, and we will try and actually drive well again, because we've been a little bit clumsy as of late. We're up into P7 though regardless, as we continue our way through the race. Another move down the inside into the hairpin will put us up into 6th position. If we stop driving up onto the grass on the inside, will probably help us a little bit as well, as we try and make the move now down the inside. Can we take 5th place here? We can't quite, and you can sort of see there, we just can't quite carry the mid-corner speed in this car. I mean, it is a very old car, so you know, it does kind of make sense that it struggles a bit, but yeah, for something so light, I did expect it to handle a bit better, but it's really the straights that we can gain some good amount of time. But anyway, ow, that wasn't very nice. What did you do that for, Mr. Mercedes? Anyway, we'll get back up the inside, but that was rude. Yeah, we don't really fare too well when it comes to contact in this car, being so light. We just sort of get pushed out of the way, which is what happened there. But anyway, over the bridge once again into the tunnel, and we'll see if we can carry some good momentum through here. It seems like it's not too bad through the sort of medium and higher speed corners, but through the low speed stuff, it just seems to struggle a bit. Maybe it's also the fact I can't hit an apex to save my life at the moment. But anyway, over the Tracy Cove Bridge once again, and towards the final tunnel, which is actually also called the Tracy Cove Tunnel, as we head in, and up over that inside curve. Didn't seem to disturb us too much, which is fortunate. Sometimes very light cars like this are easily affected by the bumps, but anyway, it takes us a while, but we do eventually catch up to P4. A nice modern skyline, and you can see faster in a straight line, just barely, but we can go later on the brakes, which I guess is another region where this car can shine. But yeah, it's very low power and very lightweight, so I'm still struggling in my mind to understand why it's not faster through the corners. But it could just, like I said, be a little bit of driver technique missing there. Anyway, we're up into P4 as I mentioned, now looking to take a P3, and with a straight line speed we will do so up in the 3rd position as we begin the 4th lap of the race. Just a couple of cars left in front of us now, and they are both in sight as we head into the first of the sort of U-turn corners on this circuit, and now along the short bridge, and we will be on the back of these two very, very shortly. In fact, we might be able to make a move into the hairpin as we're closing in. We're going to make a move to the outside, and we'll just about squeeze through. That was a very tight gap to try and get through there, as we made a bit of a mess of the hairpin. But regardless, we've made the move. We're up into 2nd position now. Just one car left in front of us, the Toyota Supra, and I'm noticing now, of all times, that it has Gran Turismo number plates on it. I'm curious if all the AI cars do, or you know, if that's just for this car, for this championship. It's not something I've ever paid attention to, but that's a customized item on the car, not the standard number plate. But anyway, we will go off board for a lap to watch this little machine in action, and we'll get a bit of a look at the scenery around the track as well. But I think it's really cool to have a car like this in the game. You know, 1960s Formula One car. You know, it makes sense as, you know, being Gran Turismo that they would choose the Honda. You know, Honda's first winner. So, you know, it's significant in that way, of course. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot more drivable than I expected. I thought this thing was going to be an absolute handful and be just impossible to put the power down and just very hard to control, but it's actually a very stable and predictable car, which is very nice. So yeah, it's a very, very fun car to drive, despite being a tic-tac on wheels. That's really the only description I have for it. But yeah, it's very, very cool, and I'm glad we have you know, some cars like this in the game. Just, you know, weird, not necessarily even weird, but just you know, cars that you know, may not necessarily fit in with anything else in the game. They're just a thing on their own. As we go over the viaduct, you can see a good view of that finally as we head into the tunnel once more. But yeah, it's a very, very enjoyable car to drive. Very lightweight, not too much power, as I was saying, but still plenty to get up and down the straights with a good amount of speed. I should try this on racing soft tires. I think that would be incredible. But anyway, as we head into the final tunnel, it has been a pretty good race for us, and as we come out into the sunlight, we're going to head towards the line and across the said finish line in first position, and that is a decent race for the little Honda. I wonder how this would compare actually with the Honda 2 and 4. I don't know if that's a car I've really featured too much, but it's a concept car. I think the lightest car in the game, and as the name suggests, it's a Honda, and yeah, I'd have to try that another time. We certainly don't have time in this video. It's already going to be a very long one, because we actually have another menu book to cover in this one. It is the Honda Racing Cars menu book. One of these is not like the others in this trio of cars. But anyway, the prize for this one's actually quite unique. We get the Super Formula car. And I guess another sort of unique aspect of this menu book is that one of the cars is a McLaren. That's not the one I was saying is not like the others though. Of course, two of them are Formula 1 cars. Anyway, let's see what we can learn about... Oh no, hang on. Oh, we're getting the car first before we read into the menu books. Okay, that's interesting. We're flipping things around here and getting the prize first. $1 million worth of car right there in front of us. Unfortunately, it's a car we already have, which is a shame. But anyway, collection Honda racing cars. Much of the innovation behind Honda's automotive design is driven by competition, and these three are the proof. Company founder Soichiro Honda was a firm believer in the notion that racing improves technology. After racing motorcycles in competitions all over the world, he channeled his experience into building cars. In 1964, 1 year after Honda unveiled its first production car, the T360 pickup, it earned the distinction of being the first Japanese automaker to compete in F1 racing. The going was tough at first, but in the final round of its second year, it won the 1965 Mexican Grand Prix title. The car that made Honda's F1 victory a reality was none other than this Honda RA272. sporting a Honda-designed V12 and body, this is one legendary car of motorsport history. Honda was uniquely quick to pick up on the importance of having a designated competition track. Looking to build Japan's first genuine racetrack, it helped to develop the Suzuka circuit in 1962. First competing at the Suzuka circuit, the Honda S Series, a sports car series, debuted in 1964. Went on to achieve a class win at the Nürburgring track in Germany in the same year, and become an indispensable agonist in Honda's motorsport history. As for this F1 machine, the McLaren MP44, it was a major player of the 1980s, an era dominated by turbo engines. The 1998 F1 season was a brutal season for F1 teams relying on the mighty turbo engine. This is because 1998 was the year in which excessively tight limits were put on the turbo technology. Undismayed, Honda poured all of its know-how into fine-tuning the MP44's turbo engine. And together with drivers Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, won 15 of 16 races in a single year, and the F1 title to boot. Indeed, this is a collection that wonderfully expresses Sweeter Honda's ardent passion for racing. Alrighty, you got all that? It's gonna be on the test. Anyway, it's time for the next race, the American Sunday Cup 600 at Grand Valley Highway 1 Reverse. There's the Tracy Cove Bridge, by the way, and guess what? We're driving the Superboat for this one, and despite the fact this car is well over the performance requirements or recommendations for this race, it doesn't matter, because it's a boat. It's not going to be fast, no matter how much faster it is than it should be. It's still going to be a challenge to get the job done here at Grand Valley Highway 1 Reverse. Anyway, we will see how this goes as we navigate these few corners. I think they're quite tricky in reverse, actually, those two. And then all of a sudden we're in the tunnel in reverse, and it's a whole new challenge, really. I mean, it might as well be a different circuit because you approach each corner completely differently. What was a low-speed entry is suddenly a high-speed entry, and vice versa. So, yeah, it's not just the same corners in reverse when you start driving backwards around the track. But anyway, we've moved ourselves up into P7 so far as we head into the rock shelter, and we'll see if we can make an overtake now down the inside, and we get the move done up into P6. So steady progress on the first lap. We always want to make sure we can get a few moves done on lap 1 of the race, and just clear a bulk of the cars early as we detour off the short layout once again onto this outer section towards the hairpin, as we turn left now a little bit deep into the hairpin, and we will lose out there, drop into P7 once again. So yeah, you can see we've got straight line speed on our side. As soon as we have a chance to put the power down, we're able to make up a couple of spots there. And now another move to the inside. No, couldn't remember how to drive there for a moment, and we just found the barrier. Anyway, big lunge down the inside into what's usually turn 2, and we can't quite get it done until the exit. Now we put the power down, and that should secure P4 for us now in this race. Little beep of the horn, because that was, relatively speaking, a fairly solid at first lap. And oh, that's a bit tight, a little bit too tight there. We slammed the barrier after having to try to take avoiding action there, and I don't know if there was a slight bit of contact, but either way it very much upset the car, and that's just the knife edge that this car is on the whole time. But anyway, on to the end of lap 2 then, and we've caught up to the leaders, and this should be an easy move along the straight to get past these two. with the straight line speed we have in the Superboat. It's the only redeeming quality of this car, and we get those a couple of overtakes done up into the race lead. And now we just have to make sure we don't make any mistakes between now and the end of the race. Again, very easy to do in this car, but we come around the final corner and we do manage to get home cleanly, and that is the Superboat taking a race victory here at Grand Valley. And now we just have one race left to go, but it is a big one, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, we collect our prize money, 45,000 credits for our trouble there, and now we move on to the final race, the Group 1 series for the final race. And as always for the Group 1 races, I'm using the Formula 1 car that we were just talking about actually in the menu book, so I guess it's kind of fitting. But yeah, this is by far the easiest way to do these Group 1 races, as we try to navigate turn 1. It's going to take me a little bit to get into the rhythm of driving this car again. I haven't used it for a little while, and driving this circuit at such speeds is going to take a moment to get used to as well. But anyway, despite a slightly clumsy first sector or so, we are steadily getting that time back and closing in to the group ahead. But yeah, this is going to be a long race, 10 laps, so realistically we just need to make sure we minimize mistakes and don't do anything silly. We should be able to come away with the victory. Okay, that's just exactly the opposite of what I said we should do. Spin around just before the rock shelter. Now we have to do an incredibly painful, I don't even know what kind of turn that was. Not exactly a 3-point turn, it was like a weird U-turn into the barrier and then a, I don't know. Anyway, let's ignore whatever just happened and try and close the gap to the group ahead. We've also managed to get ourselves a penalty before the race has barely even gotten started. So this has been a very strong start to the race, and yeah, well, hopefully we can fight back from what this absolute disaster has been. So, moving on to the beginning of lap 3, and we begin to catch the group ahead. We already made one overtake up into 19th position. We should be able to make another one here as we head through these high-speed corners around the outside. Job done. Up into 18th position. We should be able to get another one here. P17, if we can just about squeeze through and land on the brakes. That should be the position as we are now up into P17. So we're back in the fight, and we just need to keep this momentum going if we want to keep up and have a chance at the victory towards the end of the race. But for the time being, we've managed to have a few clean laps without any mistakes. So the cars ahead fighting side by side, trying to get involved, squeezing in there, but making a bit of contact in the process. Still good straight line speed though through the shelter, and we're up now into 14th position. So flying through the field now that we've finally caught up and got ourselves into a rhythm, and we will hopefully be fighting towards the front in no time at all as we head towards the tunnel. Late-ish on the brakes there. It's an awkward braking zone and turning point for that corner. I really don't know what I'm doing, but anyway, that is something I'll have to figure out at some point. But good momentum on the exit as always, and we go zooming on through up into 13th position, and as we now head onto the straight, we should be able to grab a few more. Car in pit lane there, the Nissan, as we go zooming on through up into P10 now. So 3 positions gained along the straight as we make a bit of contact near the back of the Mazda. But no, I'm done. We get the move done on the inside on the exit, and that moves us up into P9. Zooming on through the straight once again, more pit stops and overtakes up into P6 now, so a few more spots gained there as we close in to the top 5 at this phase of the race, and we should be able to potentially make another overtake heading towards the hairpin. Look at the straight line, or the cornering speed differential even for us there, and my goodness, that was close to wiping ourselves out on the Toyota there, but we got away with it just about, and move ourselves up now into 5th position. So running strong in this one as we now head left and then right as we chase down the Jaguar, right then left, and we'll be into the rock shelter. We switch to the inside and we get the move done on the Jaguar, and that moves us up into 4th position. And now the fight for the podium is on right in front of us. We'll see if we can get involved. The Nissan 992 losing out there through the corners. Obviously the Group C car is not quite with the downforce of the more modern machines, so losing out there, but with very, very good straight line speed, the Group C cars. So it's an interesting a combination with both on track at the same time. But anyway, we get through on the Peugeot, and now we're looking to make the move down the inside. That's the final overtake, now up into the race lead ahead of the McLaren VGT. So with that done, I think it should be all smooth sailing to the end. We do have to make a pit stop though, of course. Our fuel will not make it, so we come into the pits, we get a new set of tyres on and refuel, and goodness me, after racing at Trans Am with a refuel rate of 2 litres per second, seeing that line just rocket up the meter is kind of satisfying actually. But anyway, out of pit lane we go then, and we've dropped now into 5th position, so we've got a bit of work to do if we want to get back in amongst it. And I don't know what everyone else is doing in terms of strategy for this one, if anyone can make it to the end without stopping. We make the move down the inside of the Jaguar. That was a relatively easy move up now into 4th position for us, as we will set our sights on the podium once more. The Nissan in front of us now. Let's see if we can close the margin as we make the move to the inside. Job done, and now we are on to the podium. Just 2 cars left in front of us, and as we pass one, the other pits, and that leaves us out in the race lead. So it was a fairly easy race in the end for us, despite having a rough start. Nighttime at the end as well, which added a new element to the visuals. But that's the race over and race victory for us here at Grand Valley. Actually, the night is very dark, considering I don't think this track has a full day-night cycle. You know, that loops, but yeah, it does get very dark at night. Regardless, 3-star roulette ticket. Unfortunately, I didn't show that one on camera, but it probably wasn't very good anyway for a 3-star ticket. Anyway, on to the final race of the video, and we are finally driving the Artel Design Street. I hinted at this at the start. We're doing a race at high speed during 5 laps. Half the field of the Artel Design Streets and half are the off-roads, and I'm curious to see around this circuit if there's any notable difference between the 2 cars in terms of their performance. Because other than the ride height and the fact you can fit dirt tyres to the off-road model, I'm not really sure what the difference is. So we'll see if it translates on track. But anyway, so far we had a bit of an incident through the first corner, so we lost out a little bit there. But we'll see if we can make our way through the field. Bit of a slide there on the entry to turn 3. And the thing with this car, when you're racing on a circuit, and you'll very quickly notice this when racing against other cars of a similar performance, is very quick in a straight line and very slow in the corners. It really doesn't have a lot of downforce. It can take the corners, but compared to, you know, whatever you might be up against, it's not quite going to keep up. But for a track with long straights, it is the perfect car. Anyway, as you can see, we are zooming on through in a straight line. We're up now into P11 by the end of, or just after the end of the first lap. So still got plenty of work left to do as we go around the outside. Big contact there with one of the off-road cars, and oh, they've lost control, and they're about to have a big crash into the barrier as we head into turn 2. A bit of wobble there trying to arrest the speed of the car, but we're up now into the top 10 in this race. So it's been a fairly good one so far, aside from all the scrappiness, but we've made up a bunch of positions, and now let's see if we can close the gap to the group ahead. as we do seem to have the pace at the moment. Good run on the exit, and now we will make the move around the outside as we head through the penultimate corner into the final corner. That is P7 for us now. We're still fighting away for that one, but we do eventually grab that position. Bit of slipstream along the straight, and we'll make the move now up into P6 as we begin the next lap. Purple lap there, 1 minute 7. So yeah, I'm sure this car is capable of a lot more with a clean lap, so it's not particularly representative so far. Big slide there, goodness me, as we head through the first corner. That was an awkward moment as we not close enough now after that to go for any kind of overtake into turn 2, but on the exit we head over the cable stay bridge into the right-hander. We're exploring all the different bridge forms today. We've got viaducts, arch bridges, cable stayed bridges. We just need to go to St. Croix for the suspension bridge, and we'll just about have the full set as we are right on the back and making the move on the formerly third placed car. And now we'll see if we can continue this up into second position now, so just the race leader ahead. And now we are getting very, very close as we try and carry the momentum. Good run on the exit around the outside, and that is the race lead for us after 3 laps of running in this one. So if we did a 3-lap race, that would have been perfect. We made it a couple of laps long, but we do eventually get to the end. And what I initially set out to do to compare the ITAR design, off-road versus the street, kind of inconclusive. They were still all very much mixed up, so no, at least the high speed ring one is not considerably better than the other. If anything, the off-roads I think tended to fare better. So yeah, I don't know, I've actually run similar tests since, and yeah, the off-roads have always held their own, if not done better, versus the streets, at least at high speed ring. I haven't really tested it at more complex circuits yet, but anyway, that is going to do it for this one. I guess we're ending on a cliffhanger. Oh goodness me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. This has been a really long one, but thanks for sticking around if you have gotten this far. Other than that, feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.